Hey, so it's Vishan from UHA 4x4. Today it's more of me talking about a 40 series that we built not too long ago. The car is done, as in to what we needed to achieve, we managed to get it done. So I just want to talk a little about what we experienced with it, how was it with the owner, dealing with the owner, and what future plans we have for it. So now, this 40 series, like I think you all know, when you speak about a Land Cruiser, the first thing that comes to your mind is a 40 series. And there's no exception for me. That's what it is. I'm currently trying to build my own one. It's been a long time since I've had mine, but it's slowly getting there. So hopefully sometime this year it gets done. Now, talking about the 40 series that belongs to Mr. James. So Mr. James came to me from a recommendation of a friend. It's Mr. Thomas. Those who are in Malaysia would know Mr. Thomas as the man to see if you want to overland. So he has done a lot of expeditions everywhere. And I hope one day I will have the time and funds to join him on one. So now, Mr. James comes over with his 40 series. He first obviously messages me and shows me what he wants to achieve. Obviously, he references a lot of the icon builds, the TLC 4x4, which is normally what people do. And it's good, and I like that kind of builds as well. So it's sort of he wanted to have a raster mod done where he wanted comfort. So obviously he was looking into coil converting the car. Now this 40 series had the powertrain of a 1KZ put in. So he put this in, I think maybe about 4 or 5 years back before he came to me. So he had it done. And the thing about James is he used to have a shop on his own. So he used to build rally cars, and he used to have students. So this bunch of students sort of experimented with this four-wheel drive, and they are the one who actually put in the engine gearbox combo with the transfer case, obviously. But how they did it was, when I get more into it, it's pretty much just they took the whole thing off from a half cut and slapped everything in. That means there's harness from the entire half cut all inside the car as well. But obviously none of this I knew. So when I saw pictures of it, obviously I saw pictures of it like it's a complete car. So that's what I had in my mind. It was a complete car that was running. So obviously that was okay. And because when he wanted to do the coil conversion, he actually had the entire frame of a short wheelbase 70 series. So for those of you who know the 78, so the KZJ 78, they basically come in 1KZ engine, coil-sprung, the whole thing. So he had a full half cut from Japan that he only had used the engine and gearbox and transfer case and put in, but he wanted to now do the suspension work. He wanted me to get it done. So obviously I was all in because I like to do it that way. So when we get the frame, we can still use the mounting, the mounts, the spring mounts and whatnot from that. And obviously the axles would also be the LC2, which would be perfect width for the 40 series when you do a coil conversion. So when the car came to us, I was shocked. It was actually sort of it was without its soft top, so no doors, no nothing. It was halfway through. Like I think it was in a body shop. So it was in a body shop now. I think it was in a body shop. So it was towed over to me, and Mr. James came over with his wife. So the whole thing about this car was to be built for his wife. And that's the thing, guys and girls all remember things very differently. So when I asked how long since the car had been started, and I think Mr. James replied something like, he said, oh, it's been a year since he started it. And then straight away his wife came in and said, no, more like 4 years since the car has been started. So yeah, and looking at the condition of the car, I would side more towards the wife. It looked like it had sit under a tree and really corroded. So even the ECU was left out exposed, the 1KZ ECU. And obviously for me it was like, before we can even begin this project, I need to know if the car can even start. There's no point we like do all the work bottom end, like get everything done, like do the coil conversion and everything, and then have a car that's not running. So thankfully, Toyota being Toyota, obviously the lines were all gone, the fuel lines were all gone, so we did all that back, and honestly it was just the ECU that we had to clean up really well, and we could turn key and get it to start. So that's Toyota for you. So only when I had that running, and I knew that was running. Only then I began the project. So now, remember I told you guys that okay, we have the axles of the LC2 available. So that was another surprise as well. When he went to get the axles from where he had stored them, things were stolen. So basically there was nothing much left. It was obviously kept out in the open, so it was just an axle housing, a rear axle housing that was left. Couple of bits and bobs, basically nothing that we could use. So there was no choice. We had to come up with something. We had to keep the project running. And keep in mind, I already had ordered all the stuff in, like for the coil stuff and all for the LC2. And the weight was suited for his car. So what I did was we landed a really good deal on a 80 series axle. And that would have been, and then we just worked using that. So the coils were still the LC2 because they're a lot smaller and they can clear the chassis rail and how the axle sits in the front. So the front end, pretty much straightforward. We could use back everything 80 series. So we could use the radius arm for the 80 series, the pen heart and everything. They're all 80 series in the front. Just the coil and absorbers were LC2. The rear, however, a bit more trickier. So those who know, the 80 series comes with a 4-link rear or 5-link, 4-link, and then with a pen heart. So 5-link rear. This was an issue for the 40 because of the fuel tank, where the fuel tank was positioned, and it being so short, I didn't want to move the fuel tank around. So what we did was we opted to go with radius arms. So the 70 runs radius arms even in the rear. So we got rear radius arms from the 70 series and put them on the 80 series axles. So it was quite a bit more challenging, and obviously people would be like, you should have gotten the LC2 axles, but it's a time frame thing, and I didn't, and all the condition that was left behind were things that were not something that I would put in. So the 80 series was a really good buy. We had it from another half-car shop that was have it kept indoors. So the condition was really good, and obviously that was a top pick. If I do it back again, obviously this time I would make sure that there was a 70 series axles, and those who are doing it out there as well, if you're planning to go Toyota coil spring, the best thing to do is get an LC2 full set bottom end and put that in, because that would be the easiest to work with. And so everything we had to sort of build ourselves. There was no coil towers available because the frame also was stolen, so there was nothing there. So basically everything we had to build from scratch. And obviously, like any build, there is a budget. And for this owner, particularly like for James, it was even more so because he was actually he wants to build another car. He wants to build an Hilux for his own use, his overlanding, whereas the 40 is for his wife. So obviously you have to give and take between the both builds. But overall, it turned out really well. The frame of the 40 series was in really, really good condition for me. It was straight, so it had not been in an accident before. And that's really good because a lot of 40 series frames are normally hacked, or they are punched numbers. So hence why I never sort of help a customer buy a vehicle, especially this when it comes to 40 series, and a lot of it where they punch the chassis number. So this is only a Malaysian thing, so that's what people know. Even the LC2s, there are a lot of them, the shorties, where the chassis is punched. They are basically just import, and then they punch it with a local number, and then obviously inspection you fail, and then you have issues, you're blacklisted. So to avoid all the dramas, I don't buy any of the vehicles, any of the base vehicles that the customers have. They bring them into me. So, and anyway, this chassis was lovely. However, the same can't be said for the body. So initially the goal was I do almost most of it, but the body was at a point where it was so bad because it already had been worked on. So what happened was they changed the rear floor, but they didn't rust treat it or anything. So it's rusting again. And for me to undo all that and redo, and I brought it up with the owner. I say, you know what, I don't think like financially it makes sense. Honestly, the best way to go with this car would have been to get a full cabin. Which from China, and a lot of people I know will say that the cabin is really thin, and they are correct. It's absolutely, it's like single sheet metal. It's really thin, but I rather reinforce thin sheet metal than to work with something that I can put my foot through. you know. And even the firewall of the one from China is really soft. It really flexes a lot. But all that can be reinforced in comparison to trying to weld on rust or cut off such a huge portion and try to patch weld everywhere. But obviously budget was a issue, so I could not proceed any further than what I did just from the bottom end. So we completely did the bottom end, changed all the bearings in the axles. Even though we got a relatively good condition 80 series axles, we still did everything. Still did the bearings, still did the seals, still did the wheel bearings, the hubs, everything, the wiper seals, everything was replaced. Brakes, and yeah, and it brings me. It was so fun because obviously I told James before I give it back, I would drive it with whatever that there is on it. So we put he had an 80 series seat like reupholstered that we helped put in, and then I could drive the car. And honestly, every time I just took it out for a spin close by because I couldn't go far. I mean, there's no number plate, nothing. So whenever I just went for a drive around, it just brought so much joy. I felt like a kid, like totally like, one of those when the kid sits in those small remote control cars and you drive around. That's exactly how I felt, and it's truly joyous to me. And I think it's going to turn out to be an awesome thing because Mr. James found a shop obviously that would continue the paint work. And the thing is, he was willing for me to, like, if let's say I don't do any of the rust repairs, or I just patch it up, or I just cover it, and I still did not want to take it on. I wouldn't be able to sleep at night knowing that was done. Like, so I just turned it down. It was not something that I wanted to do, or I would like my name on. So then hence why, he found a shop that was willing to do it at that price. And don't get me wrong, like there are some shops out there that can paint a full four-wheel drive for like 4,000 ringgit. That's less than 1,000 US. Yeah, it's like 800 US or something, which is ridiculous. But they can. So I can't, but they can. So obviously, you just find a place that fits your budget and then you go for it. But obviously, expect the quality of work to be sort of proportionate to what you pay for. And overall, to me, this entire build was amazing. Because I learned a lot in the sense that I learned about how Mr. James was. He was a guy who gave me a lot of free will with whatever things I was putting, like geometry and stuff like that. He let me handle it, and then he obviously nitpicked with a lot of other stuff like the wells and stuff like that. And but to get a nod from him. So for me, it's like this. When it comes to the older people, if they don't say much, generally it's already a good thing. You're more than halfway there. So yeah, I think he's happy with it. I'm looking forward to see it when it's done with paint. Maybe we might do a little bit of the wiring, touch up the wiring after it's done, because it's the whole entire harness is in there. You're talking about power window wires and everything's behind the dash. So you may want to get rid of all of that when the car is actually out from paint. And of course, the soft top, I'm not sure in what condition it's in, but yeah, I'm looking forward to seeing it when it's done. And until then, we may help him to put a different powertrain into the Hilux. We're unsure yet, but we'll see it as time goes. We'll see it. So we have a couple of interesting builds also that is going to come on. The one that really I think for me to look forward for would be the shorty Pajero. So Harish contacted me like I think late last year or early in the year, and he came and he already followed me a long time on social media, so he saw knew what he want. He came, he asked a rough pricing of what it's going to be to do the stage one. And I gave it to him and he said, see me in 6 months time, and now it's been 6 months and he's back. So that's something that we're going to get started on, and we'll document it as well. So thank you guys so much for putting up with me, and hopefully you follow us on all social medias. And thank you so much if you already are. But I catch you guys on the next one. Thank you.